Randy Taraborrelli, his controversial and unauthorized biography is called Call Her Miss Ross. It is the product of extensive interviews with Diana Ross's family, her friends, and her colleagues. She is, of course, one of our most celebrated stars, Diana Ross. Let's go on to Diana Ross and this explosive biography, Call Her Miss Ross. You've heard our audience murmuring already about it, Randy. How has Miss Ross reacted to Call Her Miss Ross?
Well, Miss Ross has had it about 5 weeks, and so far, no reaction. So prior to its publication, though, her lawyers were in touch quite often, asking to see the manuscript, warning us that there would be lawsuits, alerting us that she was unhappy. But obviously, the book came out.
All right, tell us what your sources were for the charges that paint such an unflattering portrait by and large.
Well, actually, I interviewed 403 people for the book over the course of the last 8 years, including Mary Wilson of the Supremes. I did interviews with Florence Ballard before she died, Cindy Birdsong. It's really a life's work for me. When I was 14 years old, I started the first official Diana Ross and the Supremes fan club 20 years ago. So I've really been kind of engrossed in this subject for a very long time.
We're calling this Secret Lives because one of the things about Miss Ross was our impression that she rose from the ghetto, from abject poverty to soaring heights and incredible wealth. Did she in fact come from the bottom?
Actually, the Brewster Projects, where Diana Ross came from, and the other Supremes as well, was really not such a terrible place to live when they were growing up. Diana Ross's father said that though Diana has stated many times that she wanted to get out, he said that most people wanted to get in to the Brewster Projects. It was a pretty middle-class existence for her back then.
Why did she break with the Supremes? For the obvious reason to capitalize on all the fame?
Well, first of all, they hated each other's guts, so that helped. And also, it was a matter of practicality. She's a very practical person, and she saw no reason why she should have to split this money 3 ways. They were all making the same amount of money at that time, and they were all making equal royalties. And as a matter of practicality, Diana wanted to break off. But the fact that they were not that close, they were not the sisters that we all thought they were, the fact that they had to read that she was leaving the group in the newspaper. That's how they found out about it. Diana was having a long affair with Berry Gordy Jr., the president of Motown Records. Never once did Diana, Mary, and Florence, the 3 Supremes, ever discuss the fact that she was sleeping with the boss, which I think is fascinating, and which pretty much proves to me that they did not have a very close relationship.
The great breakthrough for Diana Ross, in my opinion, when she crossed the line from singer, not that that's any small thing, especially with her fabulous voice, to actress, was the movie produced by Berry Gordy, Lady Sings the Blues. She portrayed, of course, Billie Holiday, the heroin-addicted blues singer. I think that's as starkly realistic a portrayal of how bad a junkie wants dope as I've ever seen.
It's amazing. I mean, she was utterly amazing in that movie. Never had an acting lesson in her life.
But was she the singing Leona Helmsley? How did the other Supremes really feel about her? We'll hear from the brother of one of them in 2 minutes when we come back after this break. Secret Lives up to go before we sleep. Let's get on with it. Okay, give me an anecdote, Randy, that you think really personifies this. Is bitchy too cool?
But extreme lack of graciousness might be the way to put it.
Okay, this extremely ungracious.
You know, at Florence Ballard's funeral in 1975, it was a very, very sad day for most people, for everybody at Motown. Diana kind of worked that funeral like it was Central Park in the rain, if you know what I mean. She arrived, escorted by bodyguards. She was ushered ahead of everybody waiting in line, ahead of her mother, ahead of Mary Wilson. She sat in the front pew with Florence's husband, holding Florence's children, sitting next to Florence's mother, and she was not that close to Florence Ballard. So it was quite a showboat move, I think.
Florence's brother Billy is on the telephone right now. Do you agree with that, Billy? Do you agree with the portrayal of Diana as a selfish and self-centered person?
100%, Geraldo. And Florence revealed to me before she died what a bitch Diane was and how she plotted along with Berry Gordy to get her out of the group. Some of the other things she told me was that she had constantly tried to reach Diane and Mary. She called them constantly with no return phone calls. And Florence basically died knowing that her partners, ones that, you know, she had been in business with for so many years, had just basically turned their back on her.
A sad commentary, if true, Randy.
Especially if you were a fan like I was when I was a kid, to find out that when Florence was on welfare, that the other two Supremes wouldn't even return her phone calls, you know, it's really quite sad.
As with most public people, however, in fairness, we must say that there is another side to the Diana Ross story. Most of you know a fellow by the name of Nile Rodgers, a very well-known record producer and performer in his own right. We interviewed him recently, and he had this to say about Diana Ross.
My relationship with Diana is very even-keeled. Any of the problems that I might have with her are the typical common problems that you have with any artist. The fact of the matter is that Diana is a nice person. She tries to be nice. She really cares about what people think about her, and she really tries to do her best.
Comment, Randy?
Well, to some people, she is a very gracious person. But I'm surprised to hear Niall say that, because he and Diana have had their problems over the years in terms of the music that they've worked on together. She is an absolute control freak, and it's really shown up in her music in recent years.
Does she really envy and is jealous of Whitney Houston and Barbra Streisand?
Well, she's always had a real Streisand fixation. She's always wanted to be Streisand-like, and Berry Gordy always wanted that for her as well. I mean, she was the only artist at Motown who had the versatility to be a Streisand. As far as Whitney Houston is concerned, unfortunately, as always with Diana Ross, she is extremely competitive today, and Whitney Houston is a thorn in her side, because Whitney is, you know, she is today's Diana Ross to a lot of young people.
Quickly, her affairs, Ryan O'Neal.
Pretty superficial stuff, six months. In and out.
Smokey Robinson.
She was 18 years old and snared Smokey Robinson until Smokey's wife, Claudette, ended the relationship.
Gene Simmons from Kiss.
Stole him from Cher and lasted a couple of years.
What's the relationship now with her current husband? Is it Arnie Ness, Dr.
Arne Ness. Seems to be pretty good, but they spend very little time together, which might explain that.
How about children?
She's got 5 children, 3 girls, 2 boys, two infants, and the girls are very well behaved, and she does seem to be, from all indications, a very good mother.
Well, good for that. That is, we'll have questions about Diana. This is Randy's book. Call Her Miss Ross.